Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. Okay, it is Tuesday, so it's Temu Tuesday. The time when we reflect on the purchases we made late at night whilst drinking a couple too many beers and perhaps eating a full packet of Sherbies, apparently. Alright, so let's, and the funny thing about it is at that time of night, in those conditions, everything looks really useful. You know, there's just a use for everything. So this is one of those times on one of those products, and I'm going to see if I can make it work. Instead of showing you all the little bits and pieces that turned up, I'm just going to show you this one, and we're going to take it from zero to hero and see if we can make something of it. Alright, so this is the grand investment of $10. When I looked at it, I was like, yeah, you got to have one of them. So in this little red case here, we have a sticker, certified quality. Well, let's do that backwards. Qualified certificate, passed. Alright, little gauge, look at this. So you push down and it measures. So it works backwards. So all the way down is 0 and then you lift up and it goes 1, 2, 3 mil, all that sort of stuff. So my thought was with this is that sometimes when you're keying up keys, there's a key, here's a key, and it doesn't have the code on it. And you could just drop pins into a plug and then put pins on top and then slowly work it out that way. Like that's normally what a lot of locksmiths do. They just gauge it by eye, throw the key in, drop a pin in, too high, too low, back, you know, backwards, forwards. But wouldn't it be nice just to have a gauge just to go bang, 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 bang? And wouldn't it be nice if the numbers were what they were corresponding with on the keys? So you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that was my purpose for this tool. All right, so let's push that aside. So we have to find a way to change the dial so that it can reflect Lockwood key spacing. And if I get lucky, maybe I can also incorporate Gainsborough key spacing on that. We're not going to do some of the LNFs because you can just do them by eye. All right, so to pull this apart is going to be the tricky part. Never pulled one apart before. I'm wondering if I can get this dial out without wrecking it. I'm pretty sure I can get this off because this would be machined and all the rest. So this is a dial thickness gauge, 0 to 20, so that must be 20 mil, and 0.1 millimeter accuracy. Alright, so here we go. We can start by screwing this off, this section right here. So that will be our tip stop. Our base is already set in this C formation. I don't know if that will pull through. Nope, it won't. Okay. So step 1 is we need to modify this little part to accommodate the valley of a key. So it needs to go in there and push in there. And because it's threaded, my thoughts were I'm going to shave it down and bring it down to a point. What I'm also noticing here is that that works as a tip stop so that this doesn't go too far. So we have to keep it wide. So what my thought is that we just grind it down into a point, keep it wide, and probably Loctite it into position, and that might just work. As for the gauge, well, that's going to be a little bit trickier. How do we get this plastic off? Possible? We have to push it from the back. I mean, it's not going to unscrew. We've got a little dial on there, and it's I don't know if it's got a little micro screw in there, but it's going to be a little bit trickier. Let's try the old J pick under the lens. No, we're going to need something really. Probably can't get shim in there. What about the old nail? Can we get that in there? Yeah, maybe. Take this apart without breaking it. There we go. A little tiny screwdriver. Let's see if we can get some prizing action going on down here. Because in theory this should just be pushed in. I think we're getting some action. Yeah. Ah, there we go. Alright. Not sure what it is, but worst case scenario, I guess I could mark it where it is, and that would save me pulling it out. Not sure what that is. Paper? Aluminium? Not sure. Okay, so to turn this into a useful tool, well, then again, having the actual numbers works as a gauge, so that's probably worthwhile. It's probably worthwhile keeping the numbers there, just adding the numbers that we want in some fashion that looks good and is easy to read, so you can just bang, 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 and going over this key as a sample, where are we going to be here? Alright, so that's a fairly deep cut about there, and key height's probably going to be about there. So I reckon most of our swing is going to be between 8 and 5. Okay, let me go do some modifications, I'll come back. Okay, step 1. I have turned down that round circle, which was about the size of that. If you can see that, let me zoom in. Alright, that's better. Alright, so the round circle was about the same diameter as that, probably about 9 or 10 mil, and we've turned it into this. Okay, so it's still got its width on both sides, and it's actually down to a triangle, if you can see that. It's a triangle. So now, that's step 1. If we pop that back in there, I actually just used a grinder and a set of pliers just to hold it there, and it sanded away quite quickly. So now that allows us to get into the valley of a key. Once I get this attached, come on, just got to start that thread off, make sure it's square. Is that it? There we go. Didn't wreck the thread, nope. So I use the flappy sander disc on the angle grinder. Can we get one more turn round? Almost. That's not too bad. It's on a bit of an angle there. But can you see the... Let's go right in. Alright. Can you see the angle? Focus. Focus. Too much zoom. Back a bit. Alright. So I'll hold it there so you can get a bit of an idea of what's going on. So we go down in there and you can see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. It would be nice if it was a little bit more turned. I'll see if I can do that. I'll also have to Loctite that and also notice that it's not going past that point there. Alright, now the second challenge is to mark this accordingly for... so 0 should now be there. Oh no, sorry. It's all the way down is 0. That's 1 mil, 2 mil. So now I have to go through with the space and depth key, put it in there, mark the gauge, and then we should be in business. We'll give it a test. Okay, so I just cut myself 2 space and depth keys. So we have 0, 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, A. A is a 10 cut. I don't know why they did A, I guess it's so they don't have so many numerals. So I have my space and depth keys ready to gauge this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jam a key in there, tighten it down, use the tightener on the side to hold it right in position. Then I'm going to zap it with the laser engraver and put a number right there with a mark, and hopefully that will be nice and accurate. So this is Loctite. This is not the red one, this is the blue one, but this will do the job for us. I'll put a blob of it there. So I'm putting this on so that the triangle on the end does not move. Just a nice little blob like so. Blob like so. Now I have that challenge of getting that back on there. So lining up the thread, holding it square, rotating it around till it takes. Looks like it takes more than a turn. Come on. I think I'm getting more Loctite on my fingers than on the thread. Okay. Okay, here's the risky bit, turning it. Alright, so that's straight, and that's tight. Bang, bang. Okay, time to mark the gauge and see if my $10 device is going to turn into something fabulous or something funky. Okay, I'm back. Let's see how my $10 device turned out. So I was right to actually just scribe the front of it rather than remove it. It's a lot easier. And it turns out it's aluminium. The first strike, I was able to mark it quite accurately, but all I can see is the aluminium. The other ones I went a little bit harder on, so I can see a little bit darker on those ones. Alright, so let's test it now. So we're going to go through and do an A cut. A cut, yep. Actually, let's center this up a little bit. There we go. A, 9, 8, 7, 6, perfect. 5, yep. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, looks like we're on the money. Let's put our little lid back on. Okay, now it's locked in. I can still use the original numbers there as well. I can still make out what they are. Didn't turn out as sexy as I wanted because it would have been nice to have all the numbers nicely in line, but I just kind of did it and that's what it was. So, I mean, I can clearly read out where it is. So, I mean, yeah, the numbers could have been a bit sexier. The marks could have been a bit better. I mean, this took me 20 minutes to kind of do the numbers like that. I'm not sure if you can see it too well. Let's zoom in. Alright, I think we'll focus there. And I'll have to kind of do it so the light doesn't reflect it. Okay, that's probably my best angle. Alright, so let's try now a set of keys that we know the combination of. These ones here. So we should be getting a 5. Yep, spot on. And then a 2. Yep, spot on. 2. 1. Yep. 2. And a 5. Perfect. Exactly what it should be. Now we're going to try some keys we don't know the combination of, and this is what it's basically for, just to speed things up a little bit. So I'm going to whack that one in there. Okay, so I have a, what's that, a 3, 3, 5, 9, 8, 5, and another 5. So what I could do as well is I could put a dab of colour on particular ones, so that, you know, you could go green, orange, red, so you go 3, 6, 9. That might help out as well. With the actual numbers itself, it does get a little bit busy in there when you've got to kind of see what the numbers are. It would have been awesome if the actual numbers themselves were like a different colour, because as you can see there, I'll put it down so you're not getting the reflection. Oh, the reflection's everywhere. What about now? No. Oh, there we go. So it would have been better if the numbers stood out a little bit more. But you can clearly see, like, that's a 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4's a bit crowded, 3, 2's a bit crowded, and then 1 is there, and then 0. So yeah, I could have got my spacings of the clock a little bit better, but in all fairness, it does exactly what it's meant to do. So if you were to go and say, okay, what's this cut right here? I could say that's a 5. That's the second cut. And let's just throw a 5 in here. 5 on the second, 5 on the second, and we are perfect. See? Looks a little bit low from there, doesn't it? There we go. Perfect. Okay, so that is my Temu Tuesday experience. I hope it didn't go out of focus too much. Turning a $10 gauge into something that I can use regularly. If I wanted to as well, I could also set it down to a particular number, like, let's say an 8 cut. And then if you were using clippers, I've got some here actually. Here we are here. If you're using clippers or a file, you could literally clip it out. Yeah, these keys are no good. So you could kind of clip it out there and then use it as like a vernier to see whether or not you're there yet. So I can still see I need to go down a little bit. Ideally you'd be using this with a file. Give it a file and then go over your cut. Give it a file, go over your cut. So there, almost there. So I know now that's set to exactly an 8 spot. And if I grab a file like this, should really have a proper impressioning file for this demonstration. But if I go like that, that's perfectly on an 8 cut now. So you can use it that way as well. This gauge on the side, yeah, it'll probably just sit like that. It's got its calibration here as well, and to calibrate it, you just go all the way to 0 and just knock that down. And then when you're on your actual cuts as well, so I can tell that's slightly there. Now we're spot on. We should be spot on for A, we should be spot on for 8, 7, and that's it. Alright, leave your comments down below what you think of the Temu key gauge system. I did see another guy, he made one where you actually put the key in and the little pins would rise and it would tell you what the code was. Yeah, that's quicker. The other option is too, you just get vernier calipers and you just read the key. I mean, that's the way we've all kind of been taught. You get your verniers and you go over your key cut like this. There you go, 7.4, 6.6, 5.1. But then you've actually got to remember what all those ones are. You know, it's like we've got so many numbers going through our heads. I don't know about you, although I've used this key spacing for the last almost 30 years, I can't remember every single measurement to the 0.2 of a digit, and then, you know, for the other key factors as well. That's why, yeah, if you're doing multiple keys and you just want to quickly check the depth, or if you're doing master keying where you don't know what the codes are, you could quickly run over the key, and then the other key you want to match it to, all right? Write them down, and then work out your master pins. So easier than kind of re-pinning it up. When you pin up, you got to put the key in, you gauge it, you look at it and say, oh, that's a 3, so you whack in a 3 like this, right? And you go, oh no, that's wrong, and you do the close the finger thing and then flick, and then you got to keep going backwards, forwards. I mean, that way doesn't take too long, but maybe my little Temu gauge might have some function. I don't know. Leave it down in the comment if you think it's a good idea, or if it's just you know, another one of those tools you'll have that you won't use as much as you think you will, like this thing here. Okay, thanks for watching.